Comrade President Jacob Zuma, the leadership of ngolwesibini, dear comrades, members of ngolwesibini here present, and dear members of the Fourth Estate. I am going to make a very brief statement, and the caption of my statement is my brief journey with President Zuma. The problems of this country are primarily that of leadership. We have leaders who love themselves more than they love their people and country. Yes. But Comrade Jacob Zuma is different. He still stays in his rural village in Kandla, where he originates from. Throughout his adult life, through struggle and sacrifice, he has demonstrated his undying love for his people and country. He has now decided, even at his advanced age, not to retire, but to continue the struggle for social and economic freedom and prosperity of his people until the last of his days. His vision and wisdom continues to shape the nature and content of the current political struggle and contestation in our country today. That vision inspires millions of South Africans to rise and take full responsibility for their own lives, for their own freedom and prosperity. Let me take you back to January 1977. I was a young man then, crossing the border into Lesotho with my brother Norman, who, as you may know, later in life retired as a general in the South African National Defence Force. We were stepping into exile, into uncertainty, into a life of struggle. South Africa was burning after the Soweto uprising of 1976. The regime was brutal. Thousands of young people were leaving the country, determined to join ngolwesibini, the People's Liberation Army. It was there in Maseru that I first met Comrade Chris Hani, a giant and titan of our struggle. Comrade Chris commanded me to stay and assist with the political education of the avalanche of young comrades crossing the border. And so, even before I picked up an AK-47 rifle, I was tasked to be a political instructor, to prepare our youth to understand why we are engaged in struggle and what kind of society we wanted to build. In 1978, I left for Angola for military training. When I graduated from the regular course in guerrilla warfare in 1979, I took my oath in front of President Oliver Tambo himself. President Tambo gave our detachment the singular honor of naming it the Isandlwana Detachment. Our detachment was named after that great battle where our forefathers and warriors fought bravely with only spears and shields to defeat a British garrison using superior weapons. Exactly 100 years before, in 1879. In that same year, OR declared the year 1979 the year of the spear in honor of those Isandlwana warriors and many other martyrs that had made the supreme sacrifice during our liberation struggle. Thereafter, I, together with other comrades, were chosen to undergo a commander's course. That commander's course was carried out by Soviet instructors from the Red Army. After completion, I was sent to Moscow to the Lenin School. This was an international ideological school with cadres from all continents in the world. It was there that my political and ideological consciousness was sharpened and deepened. Just before graduation, Comrade Chris and Comrade Slovo came to see us at the Lenin School. They told me that I was not going back to Angola. From Moscow, I was to be deployed in Lesotho. The apartheid regime had threatened the then Lesotho Prime Minister, Liabua Jonathan, with invasion unless Chris was removed from Lesotho. Chris was removed from Lesotho by the ANC and redeployed to Mozambique, and I was sent to Maseru to continue with his work. I became the SACP regional convener and became part of the ANC political military command. It was in Lesotho that I came to work closely with Comrade Jacob Zuma. In December 1982, the South African Defence Force launched a bloody raid on Maseru. 42 people, our comrades, including Lesotho citizens, were slaughtered in cold blood. The world would come to know it as the Maseru Massacre. The United Nations condemned it, but for us and the bereaved families, it was extremely traumatic, emotional, and personal. After the massacre, President Tambo sent Comrade Zuma to Maseru. His task was to help us organize the mass burial and manage the difficult political environment. I watched him work calm, methodical. It was Zuma who ran the operation for the sudden electrifying appearance of OR on that very morning of that burial. Of course, the masses went wild seeing their beloved leader, OR, in person after such a long time in exile. Imagine the courage it took to bring OR into a war zone like that, and then just as suddenly spirited him out and have him appear safely in Lusaka that very night. That is Zuma. Quiet, resourceful, reliable, trustworthy. From that time onwards, Comrade Zuma was often deployed to Lesotho by OR and the Revolutionary Council. His job was to manage the sensitive relations between the ANC and the Lesotho government. And so from those days in the Mountain Kingdom, through tragedy and resistance, he and I forged a bond that would carry us into the democratic era. Then in Parliament, I served as Chief Whip of the ANC. Comrade Zuma was Deputy President and leader of government business. And Comrade Freni Chinwala was Speaker. May her soul rest in peace. Every Monday morning, the three of us met in the Speaker's office to coordinate our parliamentary program. Different times, different arena, same comradeship. History has its trials. The so-called arms deal was one of them. Both of us were dragged into it. We were the only two senior leaders charged. I was convicted in the so-called card discount case, which was politically motivated and thoroughly shameful in the manner it was handled. They even sent me to prison. Guess who came to Mamasbury prison to visit me? Comrade Jacob Zuma. Deputy President of the ANC, that solidarity cut very deep. Later, they went after Zuma himself, charging him with the arms deal, a case that has been hanging over his head for more than 2 decades. justice delayed is justice denied. The fact that that trial drags on today is a serious travesty of justice. And it shows how the justice system can be manipulated and abused. By 2007, at the much talked about Bulugwane conference, Comrade Zuma was contesting for the presidency of the ANC. I was proudly leading from the front in support of Msholozi. That conference was not about politics only. It was about ensuring that the ANC remains the champion of the aspirations of the poorest of the poor. Msholozi won that conference hands down. He did not buy that conference. That conference and its outcomes was an open expression of the democratic will of the vast majority of ANC delegates. Fast forward, when the Concord decided to throw Comrade Zuma to prison without a trial, I was one of those outraged thousands of the masses that descended upon Ingadla to declare our contempt, our indignation, and rejection for that Concord verdict, and our overwhelming unrelenting support and solidarity with Comrade Zuma. Even when Msholozi later formed Umkhonto weSizwe, our bond endured. When the ANC took disciplinary action against him, Msholozi called upon me to represent him before the DC. I readily agreed. In moments of crisis, a true leader turns to those he trusts most. Till today, I remain a regular visitor. Till today, I remain a regular visitor to his homestead in Kali. We sit together, we deliberate, we debate the crisis our country is facing, searching for ways to resolve them. The bond we forged in exile, in Angola, in Moscow, in Lesotho, in parliament, in prison, continues to this day. That bond was forged in the crucible of struggle. We have shared in victories and endured humiliations. We have been tested by fire. We have been through the eye of the needle. From time immemorial, outstanding individuals have and do contribute in the making of history. And those outstanding personalities have to be acknowledged and celebrated during their lifetime. Yet to be truly great, leaders must at all times assert their primacy, pledge their loyalty, and serve the organized will of the masses of our people. This struggle for social and economic emancipation, led by MK and other black political organizations, is not about me or yourself, or anyone for that matter. It is about the heart and soul of the land of our ancestors and its people, the People's Republic of South Africa. Glory and dignity, the glory and dignity of South Africa and its people, and among other nations, must and will be restored. South Africa and its people must and will be free. Amandla.
Kwaza mkhonto kwaza. As I said before, I called the second deputy president up. There won't be any questions for the second deputy president today. That time will come, not today. With that, let me welcome Deputy President Dr. John Hlophe Mandakayise.